Instead of beginning with this, I'm going to end with this one. And I don't think I fully understand what this means. I have a few inklings and guesses, but I'm going to read this to you, and I'd love to hear if any of you want to take a shot at what you think is going on. And this particular section is called The Brahman in the Pit. And if you remember, a Brahman, not only a Brahma, or Brahman, is the high name of God, the Brahman caste is the highest caste in India, or when they still had the caste system. A certain Brahman who lived in this world wandered into a deep, dark forest that was filled with ferocious wild animals. The forest was populated with lions, bull elephants, and other animals that roared incessantly. It was so terrifying that even the god of death, Yama, would cringe at entering this malevolent realm. Realizing he was lost, the Brahmin became very alarmed and began to run around in circles, hoping to find his way out. Attempting to elude the frightening creatures which were all around, the panicked man ran deeper into the forest. Still, he could not rid himself of his pursuers. The Brahmin looked up and saw that the forest was surrounded by a net held by a huge woman with outstretched arms. Serpents with 5 heads also encompassed the forest, and were so tall that their heads reached nearly up to the heavens. In a clearing there was a deep pit covered with creeping vines and underbrush. As the Brahmin ran frantically through the forest, pursued by a wild elephant, he stumbled into the open pit and became lodged halfway down the hole in the vines that grew over it. As the Brahmin hung upside down, tangled in the vines, he saw a huge serpent at the bottom of the hole. Looking up, he saw an elephant at the top of the hole. The dark-skinned elephant had 6 faces and 12 feet, and seemed intent on maintaining its vigil at the mouth of the hole. In the vines that held the Brahmin, bees had built hives filled with honey. These hives dripped honey near him, and he reached out to catch the sweet nectar in his mouth as he hung there. The more honey the Brahmin ate, the more he wanted. His thirst could not be quenched. Meanwhile, black and white rats gnawed at the roots of the vines which held him. With elephant above, serpent below, bees buzzing all around, and rats gnawing at his life support, the Brahmin continued to reach out for more honey. Ooh, that's a good one. That net, that's the net of Indira. She was one of the ancient gods. In fact, India is, when India was a polytheistic culture, and if you watch the Hinduism video, I'll show you how it moved from polytheism to pantheism, which, even though there's literally millions of gods in the system, it's still a monotheistic tradition. Hinduism is actually monotheistic. And I know that seems like a wild paradox. You just have to remember the 1,000 different gods or the 1,000,000 different gods. It's just like a jewel. And each facet is a different manifestation or way that God is showing his glory or presence into the world. But once you get past all the names or all the different perspectives, there's really only one being. And like I said, you can call him Yahweh, you can call him Jehovah, you can call him Jesus, you can call him Allah, you can call him Brahman, you can call him Krishna, you can call him Fred, for all I care. It doesn't matter. You can put in your own name in the gap, because you are it. And Hinduism is kind of like this game of cosmic hide and seek with a god who gets amnesia as he enters into the game. And he goes through all these different iterations until he finds himself once again. And when he finds himself again, he is back in his own mind. He isn't distracted or confused by all these different little manifestations. But I mean, it makes a lot of sense, right? What else are you going to do if you're an eternal being with infinite power and wisdom and time? What better than to create your own adventure in billions and billions of different ways where you live out these countless lives over and over again. Never a dull moment being God. Okay, questions, comments?